Innovation Manager. Oh, there we go. Housing Innovation Manager for York Community Service Association and also the local health officer for the town of York. I want to welcome you to our third housing webinar. This is our second summer hosting these. In this hour, we hope you learn about how you can safely, successfully, and safely move into your community, stay there in your house and in your community as you age in place. And I want to thank you for taking the time to join us today. This housing seminar was brought to you by a joint grant received from Maine Housing by YCSA here in York. Our executive director, Michelle Sertival, is on. If she could wave her hand, there she is. We also work with Fairtide and Kidry on that grant joint. I'm not sure if Emily Flinkstrom is on. But the Housing Navigator pilot program is a 2-year project. And as a navigator, I work with families experiencing or at risk of homelessness and obtaining housing and assisting them in maintaining stable housing following lease up. The 3 major components of the Housing Navigator program are landlord engagement, pre-tenancy assistance to families, and housing stability services. Today, we'll dive into topics such as housing and home sharing, reducing falls and lift assist calls, what to do if you have a fall, and what services and programs are available through York Hospital and age-friendly communities. To make sure that we are helping you as best as we can on our webinars, we have collected your questions at registration, and I've shared those questions with our presenters who will do their best to weave them into the presentation. I want to remind folks you can also schedule free consultations with myself through YCSA's website, reach out anytime, email, call, so that we can go over how to maybe create a rental, how to help you age in place safely, and what the resources here are at YCSA. This webinar will be available on York Public Library's YouTube channel and on YCSA's Housing Solutions Library and repeated on the town's public access channel. I want to introduce our speakers quickly. Our first speaker will be Michelle Sertival, the Executive Director of YCSA and Chair of Age Friendly York. She'll be talking about Age Friendly Network of Communities and upcoming Aging in Place events here in York. Our second speaker is Jean Saunders, Age Friendly SACO Executive Director. Jean will be talking about the innovative programs for older adults in SACO, including their handyman program and an introduction to home sharing. Our third speaker is Kay Marquisio. She is a home care intake nurse and liaison at York Hospital. Kay will be talking about resources and programs, services, and other things that York Hospital makes available to our older adults in the community. And our fourth speaker is Jack Cooper, a firefighter and paramedic with York Beach Fire Department. Jack has years of experience and will be talking about lift assist calls and what to do if you have a fall and need to call for assistance. So with that, I think I'll turn it over to Michelle Sertival, and I'll bring up her slides here in just a second. And welcome to the webinar. Thank you.
Got it. So all I have in my head is that I just really want to make this hopeful and exciting like last night's TV viewing was, but I'm not sure if we're going to get there. I'm finding aging in place like dreadful. Like I don't want to talk about it anymore. I don't want to be part of this group that is in this group. I don't want to talk to my husband about his dying. Like I'm just so done about aging and dying right now. That's how I'm feeling because this list of things to do feels so enormous to me. And I think our intention is to try to make it easier and helpful for people to get there. And I sort of have, do you remember there was a time when people were, mayors in town were trying to get the whole community to lose weight as a group. And so it was a big community effort. And, you know, the mayor would come down and step on the scale once a week and stuff. And I think I have that in my head. Like, could we create this whole little nirvana of people that live in York and any place else with people who are part of this, and just create this community that everybody's going to be like doing okay aging, get all the icky stuff done so that now we can just really play. So that's part of my vision also. We'll see what happens. So the first thing I looked up, because like I'm an old public health person, is what did CDC have to say about this? Because if you go back, this is a movement. It's a movement that's been going on a long time. And I think my biggest memory is about 25 years ago. I'm not kidding. I went to a training about, aging in Maine. That was like a new hot topic. We were just looking at census data, and um, people are like, oh yeah, it's coming. Oh yeah, at some point there'll be a lot of us. Oh yeah, like, and so here I am 25, 30 years later, and we're having the same freaking conversation. It's just like, it's driving me crazy. But so here's the CDC's thing. I think I'll just state it. The ability to live in one's own home and community safely, independently, and comfortably, regardless of age, income, or ability level. And I think most of that, I'm feeling like really negative right this second, but I think I can move it. But who doesn't want that? Who doesn't want to be able to live their life that way? And just the last three, age, income, or ability level. Oh, come on. This takes a lot of work to pull this together. And again, that's so it's feeling so personal to me, because my husband's going to be 95, and he's great, in great health and great shape, and you would never know it. Except I said to him this morning, could you check the printer to see if there's paper in it? And I heard him go, oh, you can't reach over to check the paper. And sometimes he just sort of can't, like there are just these little things in life that are big and hard and stuff. So I don't really like this definition. I just want us to be aware that there's about 10 different words that are being used in this field. Aging in place is sort of one big umbrella word, but it's almost like affordable housing and workforce housing. It's got that kind of ring to it. So I just think as we move forward talking about this, we're using the same definition of the words we're using. I guess that would be my reminder. And then the second thing that was on the CDC site just sort of made me laugh. It's like 90% of adults over 65 would prefer to stay in their current residence as they age. Well, yeah, that's nice, like, but how are we going to do that? So next slide, Amber, please. How are we going to help? So I put them, and then I went, oh, I really can't call it them. It's me, it's all of my friends and stuff. How do we help people do that? And I think part of what this program is about is to really try to get people to understand before they're in a crisis. So I'm a big crisis intervention versus prevention person. I always have been. I never really understood why we have to wait till the crisis is here, which we just traditionally do. I think it's part of our American culture. And I sort of like, can we look at prevention? And it's been a really hard, all of my career, it's been a really hard thing. Everything I think I've done has been based in prevention. And this whole thing that we're doing around aging right now is totally about prevention, even if we just start with housing. If we don't have a choice for people to be able to come to York and live here with all of the things that they need and want, because I think it's a pretty incredible community to age in. I think we have a lot of things in place. I think there are a lot of us who are in this age group that that could be a little bit more playful about this subject, and it's not there yet. So prevention versus crisis intervention is another really big model that's in my head when we're putting programs together and trying to decide what we want to do and how we want to do it. And it really requires planning. Like, I'm pretty convinced that you don't pull this life, your next chapter in life together. You can, I mean, everybody's doing it in a crisis. Somebody just dies quickly out of the blue, and then everybody's scrambling to try to figure out what to do. And so we have this new program together. Is it the next slide, Amber? Check. No, let me talk about this first while it's up. So there's lots of people in Maine. There's lots of people in the country, but this is a huge movement in town, right, in the state right now. Do you think that that's true, Mary? I mean, that's a big part of what you're doing. You should introduce yourself now that I just did that to you.
Hi, thanks, Michelle. I'm
Yeah.
Mary Hadlock. I'm with Southern Maine Agency on Aging, and my role there is as community ambassador under the Community Connections Initiative, which is working under the Cabinet on Aging with Humane Center on Aging, the age-friendly communities, and also the area agencies on aging across the state. So, thank you.
Right. So there's all those people working on this. Um, Jean and I are really involved. Jean has been involved forever on the Lifelong Maine Age-Friendly Network community. And I want to specifically make sure everybody knows about this because I came to this really quite late and I just didn't understand how I missed it. So the state is really set up to have these small community networks, all the dots, that's where the chapters are. And I started the chapter in York fairly recently, about a year ago. Amber, has it been that long? And so what's cool about it is you need to get a letter of approval from your leadership in the community, the highest member of the leadership group got voted in. And so you have to go and say, okay, we want to do this. We want to do this in town. We want to do this with you. Do you want to do this with us? You know, like, and they write a letter and then you send it off to Patricia O, who's kind of the Pied Piper of age-friendly networks in the state. And she's connected with the University of Maine and they're connected with AARP. Like there's a billion people in York working on this right now, I would say. So, we're trying to figure out how to share resources and stuff. So I think one place to go to is the Lifelong Maine Age-Friendly Network and see what comes up there. Certainly SMA is another really good networking place to go to. And then each one of these blue bars is a specific subject. So you can get into this larger aging in place conversation, which is a little bit broad. And then you can get it down to very specific topics. I think housing and transportation is really the biggest issue that everybody's dealing with. But when Jean gets to talk, you'll see the incredible work that's going on in Saco. And YCSA has been doing it in a little different fashion. So it's just been, just for the support to be connected to this group and this network of mostly women. I'd say a lot of women who have retired, and this has become this incredible next chapter in their life, using their whole life experience to look at age-friendly things in particular. It's really been fabulous, great tool for us, wonderful group of people, and we're really happy to be part of this team now. So we started our, besides Amber's doing this series, we started an Aging in Place program that Ron McAllister, who's also, I think, on the call. Hi, Ron. He just wrote a great article about this in the Seacoast. What's the paper called?
I think it was in the Portsmouth Herald.
Thank you. Not the York Weekly, that's no longer that. Okay, never mind, I can do that later. So we're calling it the Folio Project because we thought if we named it something that nobody would know what we were talking about, that might encourage people to participate. And since we had 30 people at this first session, I'm like, oh, well, okay, maybe that worked. But the Folio refers to, we found this company that does these really nice folders, really, really nice folders to put all your important documents in and stuff. And so it was really a bribe. If you come to this training, we'll give you one of these books. And I think that worked also. So it works with our grandkids, works with grown-ups. But it's been, I think it's been pretty fascinating work. We had a great elder attorney with us. Britton Garin has been the first speaker, and she'll be part of the next series as well. And here are the dates: the 22nd of July, which is the first one we did, and September 16th is coming up. And then we're going to do another round because we have a waiting list of people who wanted to come to the first one. We're trying to get people to do 1, 2, and then we'll start a third or fourth on. We've got so many subjects. And so when Ron and I were talking about the article that he was doing, he really came to the conclusion that he needed to do it in a series of 3 because the subjects are so gigantically cutting every part of our life. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he comes up with next. And yeah, I think here's our logo, the Community for a Lifetime, that every community makes their own logo for certified age-friendly community. And we'll have a small advisory committee. So we're up and running and trying to get our footing and figure out what's the best way for us to communicate stuff in town. People are doing a lot of things, but this is a way to organize it. So that's what we're up to. And I'm excited, and I think there's a lot of good buzz and trying to make a big difference here and get everybody in a more hopeful place. So thanks. That's me, Amber.
Thank you, Michelle. So appreciate you sharing about the Age Friendly Network and our series coming up. We'll get those dates out to folks for our second series. Next, we have Jean Saunders, and she will be sharing on all things age-friendly in Saco. Welcome, Jean. I'll pull up your slides.
Thank you, Amber. Thank you for having me. It's always fun to talk about all things age-friendly. So just as Michelle said, every community sort of has their own logo and statements. And Age-Friendly Saco, just for an overview, we started our work back in 2016 with our mayor at that time. And in 2018, we became a 501c3. We have a very close working relationship with the city. We are supported financially by the city of Saco, but our 501c3 status allows us to more easily apply for grants. Next slide, please. So today I'm talking about basically our Handy Neighbor program. Again, I'm just giving a kind of big overview of like the types of things that we do so that you understand how the whole Handy Neighbor program fits into the other things that we do. So we currently have 153 volunteers. You can see that we've served over 1,300 residents. These numbers are on an annual basis. So we have 2 types of ride programs now. We have a medical rides program. We have 19 volunteer drivers. We're very fortunate. And we also have a mobility shuttle in which we have a shared ride service, kind of a mini micro transit program within the city. And we offer rides for essential services because we know that even though people are interested, even though we can help people get to their medical rides, and that's obviously very important, it isn't enough. To stay engaged and happy in one's community, you need to be able to access other services. So we started our shared mobility service last year, and that continues to grow. We have 2 shuttle drivers, and we're very fortunate to have a 9-passenger van that we are able to provide rides to the grocery store, to the community center, to the library, etc. This is a dynamic route scheduling on a daily basis. So people do not need to give a week's notice. They call and ask for a ride, and people are picked up at their home, and then they're dropped off and then picked up again, and then they return home. So anyway, that's the transportation. We have a Handy Helper program, which I'll talk a little bit more about. An offshoot of our Handy Helper programs, we have Tech Handy Helpers, which I'll show a short video which demonstrates how something very inexpensive can have a huge impact in helping people age in place by making you feel more secure and safer in your home. We also deliver food commodity boxes annually. We deliver about 40 a month. We have volunteers that do that. We do a sand bucket program. We always did a Valentine's Day meal in collaboration with our local high school. The picture that you see on this slide is actually our adaptive bike program. So this is an e-bike. We have a person in the back that is the pilot that drives this e-bike. It has 2 people so they can chat as they're having a bike ride. And we go to congregate living facilities and we give rides to residents. And it's just an amazingly positive, joy-filled experience. And every year we have a wellness fair as well. Next slide, please. So our Handy Neighbor program is a group of volunteers where we work together to try and help people stay in their homes by providing simple repairs and home modifications. So we have some standards that we work with relative to like installing grab bars, for example. We have a contractor who's one of our volunteers who's absolutely phenomenal. And we will have people call up and say, I need to move some lawn furniture back into my basement, or I need to remove my air conditioner. So all the things that people need help with in order, again, to be able to stay in their homes, perhaps not climb a ladder, in order to change a light bulb or a smoke detector. So there are some things now that when we go into the homes, we will often do other things as well. So when somebody's called into the home to perhaps install a grab bar, at the same time, they will have with them smoke detectors and carbon monoxide detectors to see if these items are already there, if this is something that that we can help with. So as a result of doing this program, and during COVID, and when people were very isolated, we started to talk about how do we get people better connected, and we started our Tech Handy Neighbor program. And our Tech Handy Neighbor program was, again, trying to bridge the digital divide, which we know that people that do not have access to digital media often have difficulty actually getting information. So we started passing out tablets through grant sources allowed us to purchase tablets. And then we also found that for some people, it was actually easier and better accepted for them to have a simple Echo Dot. So an Echo Dot, which can function as a virtual personal assistant, is an amazing thing for people that can't afford the very expensive subscriptions that go along with like a medic alert system that might cost over $100 a month for people on fixed incomes. It's difficult. So I'm hoping Amber is going to play our video, which is just 3 minutes, about our virtual personal assistant, a day in the life of Alexa. No sound.
Was the
Are
use
you
of
getting the
personal
sound?
assistive devices,
Yes, there we are.
Bot and Google Home. These devices quickly demonstrated how they can help our older residents stay in their homes more safely, as well as feel less socially isolated. This technology functions as a virtual personal assistant, as it listens to a voice and carries out commands. We know that there are various commercial medical alert systems to help our seniors feel safer in their homes in the event of a fall or an emergency. However, these systems are often difficult for our older residents on fixed incomes to afford. We are going to demonstrate today how for about $40 for a device, $8 for a smart plug, and as well as internet access, we can help our older residents stay in their homes more safely. We're going to demonstrate this by showing you a day in the life of a virtual assistant. Our Tech Handy helper has come to install the personal assistant device for one of our residents. As you might know, it is not possible to call for 911 assistance through one of these devices. Age Friendly Saco has worked with our local fire department to have their dispatch number added to our residents' personal assistant devices so that in the event of a fall or an emergency, they can ask their device to call the Saco Fire Department. Our volunteers also add in the personal contacts of each resident, so the personal assistant device will call each contact on the list until someone answers the phone. As we begin our setup for our resident, she requests that NPR be played as her wake-up call every day at 7 a.m. so she can wake up to the morning news. Once she's awake, she'll be reminded about the medication she needs to take that morning. For the midday meal, she asks her device to provide a recipe for a strawberry smoothie and then sets a timer for her daily 20-minute exercise regimen. She asks what the weather is like today as she prepares to go for a walk. When she leaves the house, she has a schedule on her device called Leaving the House that provides certain prompts such as, do you have your keys? Did you lock your door? Later in the day, she prompts her device to add to her grocery list. As evening comes on, she asks her device to turn on the lights and play quiet music. At bedtime, the assistant is asked to read a poem and play quiet music for half an hour and turn off the hall light. These personal assistants make it easier than ever to stay connected and check in with loved ones simply by asking the device to make the call. All in all, these devices can help our older residents stay in their homes more safely while still maintaining their independence and staying socially connected.
Good morning, and thank you for coming
Okay.
to the presentation of the Senior Tax Assistance Program for the City of Saco.
Sorry.
I'm Megan.
Thank you, Amber.
Sorry.
So-
Yep.
So we're going to pivot quickly to a different topic, which is going to be talking about home share and where we are, how we got to the home share program, and more specifically, Nesterly. Next slide, please. So Age Friendly Saco started in 2018, trying to do a home share program. We visited Vermont. They have a successful program they've had over 40 years, but it was very difficult to handle all of the aspects of what it would take to actually provide a home share program. So we worked with our local legislator, Maggie O'Neill, and she was able to present a bill which was passed. And we're in the process right now of a home share pilot program, which will be reevaluated in December of this year and hopefully, continue. So as Maine State Housing, we'll go on to the next slide, please. Maine State Housing is the one that is actually managing the pilot program. And that pilot program, as many of you are already aware, is Nesterly. So what is Nesterly? What is home sharing, right? Home sharing is just the simple idea of matching people, homeowners. We call them hosts, with people that are interested in renting, who might have an extra bedroom, home seekers, and helping them become housemates and drawing up contracts. Next slide, please. So what are some of the advantages? Obviously there is a supplemental income, people that are interested in having companionship, the potential for bartered services. This is a big aspect of Nesterly. So you may decide that I will offer a person a reduced rent in exchange for perhaps pet sitting or lawn care, cooking, shoveling, etc. So every contract with Nesterly is an independent contract negotiated between the homeowner and the home seeker. And again, it's a wonderful use. We know that a lot of our housing stock in Maine are very large homes with lots of bedrooms. So it's a wonderful way to be able to have more housing opportunities for people. And we know what a housing crisis we're in. So who are home share candidates? In Nesterly, we very much are suggesting, like, oh, you can, it started in Boston with college students, but these are some great examples, right? We know that there are lots of traveling nurses. We know that there are, people, that nannies, new teachers, etc. We know that in our own community, we have our emergency support people. The firefighters and the police department often can't find housing in this community. So it's a wonderful opportunity to look at Nesterly as perhaps a short-term solution until you can find a longer-term housing solution. Next slide, please. So the people that have been involved, there is a task force that's been working on Nesterly. Eric is the point person from Maine State Housing that is involved in this. Noel Marcus is the CEO of Nesterly. And Nesterly, just so everybody is aware, is for the entire state of Maine. So if you go on to nesterly.com right now, you will see home shares available for the entire state. And they only started to allow renters to start to make the contracts in July. So we're trying to build up our stock of people willing to participate in a home share. And just recently, the whole process has opened up for people to actually be able to rent. Marianne Jackson has been very active in the Mount Washington Valley Age Friendly arena. She actually has developed a home share program. She has some great examples. She personally has been involved in home share, and I would strongly recommend anybody interested in learning more to learn from her experience, because she has some great advice. Next slide. That is it. I hope I did okay with time.
You did amazing with time. Thank you so much, Jean. I appreciate it, and all the resources. I'm going to jump on briefly and just share a quick presentation on a little bit more on what York is doing with relates to aging in place. And the big one is I have same thing with Nesterly as an age-friendly community. York residents are able to use this program, and we had these printed out. Thank you, Patricia O. We've got these as handouts and on our website too. So I just wanted to share real quick the phone numbers at the bottom, the email address, or sorry, the website address is there too. And everyone will get copies of this presentation and the slideshow emailed to them afterwards. So don't feel like you have to scramble and write this down. But I did also want to share that our York Parks and Recreation department to the Center for Active Living does a host of things for older adults in town. There are some eligibility criteria, but they also allow non-residents of York to join for a small fee. They have a great newsletter that comes out, and they have a host of programs. Art Jacobs and Kim Tilton are there with their contact information, and I invite folks in the area to reach out. They do a ton of trips, and we do presentations there as well, and we collaborate on a lot of things. So I just wanted to share too that we'll have another webinar at the end here, but we'll get to that. And I think we're going to move on to our next presenter, Kay Marchisio from York Hospital. Welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for coming. And I will bring up your slides for you here. And hopefully you can see those slides. We're good to go. Welcome.
Thank you. Okay. Well, my name's Kay Marchisio. I've worked for York Hospital for just over 11 years now. My role is home care intake liaison, home care intake nurse and liaison. And I've worked in a couple different areas of York Hospital. I started out working for the Wound Care Center in Wells and then went to home care. So York Hospital's mission statement is to enhance the health and wellness of the communities we serve. And I think they do a really good job in a lot of different departments of doing that. And a big part of that is aging in place and helping community members, not just people that end up going to the hospital. So the resources that I want to go over, I've got a couple different areas. So home care, the York Hospital Help Center, Bridges Volunteer Program, Older Adult Services, transportation, the cafeteria, and relaxation meditation line that we have. So the first one I want to talk about is, of course, near and dear to my heart, York Hospital Home Care. So we're Medicare certified, we are nonprofit. So what we do is we help close the gap in the continuum of care, providing compassionate quality services to enable patients to stay in the comfort of their home during times of recuperation, disability, or chronic illness. So we want people to be able to stay in the home for as long as possible. And whatever resources are needed, and York Hospital has a lot. All the presenters I just heard have so many different resources that I, wasn't previously aware of. So it's kind of prompting me. My mother is in Florida. She's in another state, but I'm wondering if there's got to be other states that have these type of resources. So it's definitely worth looking into. So home care, York Hospital Home Care offers skilled services. So there's a difference between skilled services and non-skilled services. So for example, the services that we offer are nurses, physical therapist, occupational therapist, speech therapist, social worker, and home health aide. So the type of skilled services, for example, that a home health care would help with are wound care, dressing changes and education, colostomy care, cardiac issues, diabetic, tracheostomy care, IV antibiotic, education at home, joint surgery, traumatic injury. Those types of issues, problems are considered skilled services. So what home care wouldn't cover is custodial care, which custodial care is somebody that may need help in the morning to get dressed and put meals on the table, go grocery shopping, that type of thing. I'll talk about that a little bit later on in the presentation. So the next topic is the Healthcare Help Center. And there's 4 different programs I'm going to talk about that are part of the Healthcare Help Center. The first one, Care Access, helps to explain the different services that York Hospital offers, helping people find primary care, specialty providers, or providing clinical guidance. So somebody can call up, ask for Care Access and say, I'm new to the area, I need a new doctor, or I need a new neurologist. Can you help me? And that's what this program would help with. The second one is Community Social Services. So this is where the other type of care, the non-skilled care, kind of comes in. So there's a social worker that works at York Hospital, and that person can help find that type of custodial care for somebody. So private duty, or there's a lot of companies out there that do that type of custodial care that people could hire. She will help guidance on how to locate in-home care, which is the not skilled. She'll offer information about what to do when an elderly patient's having difficulty living independently. So she's got a lot of different resources, a lot of different ideas. She's got resources about alternative housing options, assistance obtaining a wheelchair, walker, or any other type of DME equipment. And she can also help with information about community resources such as Meals on Wheels, food pantries, elderly legal assistance, and fuel assistance. So a lot of great resources there. So the Prescription Help Center is wonderful, especially this day and age when these prescriptions are so crazy, outrageous, expensive. But that person can help with information and help lower prescription drug costs for people, give patients or people information on pharmaceutical company assistance programs, state and federal programs, including Medicare Part D, and low-cost generic drug programs. So there's a wealth of information there. So the insurance access is helping people with insurance. So the team helps educate about federal and state insurance plan options and assisting with online enrollment. So that's a wealth of knowledge in that area as well. So the Bridges Volunteer Program is in high demand. It's a wonderful program. It's volunteer-based, introduces volunteers to a York Hospital patient, somebody that's associated with York Hospital, whether they don't have to have been in the hospital, but if they have a primary care, they're affiliated in any way with York Hospital, that's in their home for a weekly check-in to help with groceries, transportation, companionship visits, errands, anything like that. So they are looking for more volunteers for this program. Right now, there's a wait list of people that would like to have somebody come to their home once a week and offer them those services or companionship. So just put the word out there. So this program is available for anybody that has the time and wants to make a difference and help people in the community. So the older adult program, there's 2 basic parts to this. This first one here, the Center for Older Adults, it's an outpatient service. There's a doctor, I believe, a PA, and other support staff that work in that office, and they can help people that are 65 years or older who have these issues, balance falling issues, changing in memory, any type of cognitive issues, problems with sleep, weight loss, fatigue, etc. So that is an in-office visit, but that can certainly help our older community so that they can get the care they need so that they can remain independent in their own home. The other part of the program is the Older Adults House Calls program. Now we have a couple providers that actually go to people's homes to do medical visits. So much like the setup of home care, but this older adults program has a nurse practitioner and or a PA that goes out to do visits, etc. So it's great for 65 years old, people having difficult time traveling to get to their doctor's office, that have functional or cognitive limitations. They do work with the primary care and any other providers that are needed. And usually it's a one-time acute visit type, but it doesn't have to be. It could be, you know, a few occurrence to go out and see patients. The York Hospital Transportation, I think, is a wonderful program. It's quite amazing. I don't know if other hospitals offer this or not, but I'm proud to say that York Hospital does. So this is for people that are affiliated with York Hospital in any way, if they have a provider, if they've been in the hospital, et cetera. And it's free transportation. They do suggest a donation. You don't have to give a donation, but it's appreciated. But this is to help people get to and from York Hospital provider locations. So if they have any type of PCP appointment or physical therapy appointment or anything like that, this program can be used by them. They do ask for a 2-week lead time right now. They because of COVID, they have fewer drivers right now. So they do need a little bit more of lead time. But if it's a scheduled appointment, most people know at least 2 weeks ahead of time. And of course, if they make an appointment and it's 1 week out, they could certainly call and see if they could schedule that. It's worth asking. Okay, York Hospital Cafeteria. We have lobster. Everybody loves the lobster there. So everybody's welcome to come in and eat in the cafeteria. So it's open again now. It's not restricted. And the hours of operation are 7:30 to 4 p.m. They also have a grab and go display section where they're prepared meals. So people can come in or have a family member come in. They can pick up these meals, bring them to their loved one, you know, refrigerate, freeze them, whatever, and have them in the home for later consumption. And then the last item I have is this York Hospital relaxation line. It's free. There's 4 different options. If you haven't tried it, try it. It's pretty neat. It works. It really, if somebody's having anxiety or stress in the home, pick up the phone, dial this number just to kind of relax. It's a relaxation technique that anybody can use in the home in addition to what they already do. And that's it for today. And yeah, we're always open to suggestions. We're always open to having more new volunteers help out with these programs. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kay. Lots of good programs at the hospital. And as someone who used to work at Town Hall and walked over to the cafeteria, I can attest it is great food and good place. Thank you for reopening it to the public.
Absolutely.
We love it.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us. Lastly, we have Jack Cooper, who is a paramedic and firefighter with York Beach Fire Department. He has years of experience in both those areas, and you may or may not have seen him in the area and called him. We're hoping to avoid a lift assist call today, but welcome, Jack, and we look forward to hearing what you see and hear when you get that call. Thank you.
Thank you. And I can attest, I think my grandmother used to go to the hospital just for their lobster rolls. She's get admitted. So I don't just work for York Beach Fire Department. I also work for York Ambulance and Wells EMS. So I've got a pretty good mass of the area to account from. So we, on a regular basis, are probably doing somewhere near a dozen lift assists a week between the fire department and the ambulance going out throughout town-wide. Most commonly, we see the issue with obstacles in the household. So individuals that have, loose carpets or close walking spaces, and they have mobility issues, and they either do or don't know their limits on what they can and cannot do. So starting to recognize changes throughout aging, and understanding that there are some changes that have to be made in the household to account for your needs. Whether that's lower floor living, so going from your sleeping quarters being upstairs in your house to bringing it downstairs onto the first floor level, so you don't have to contend with stairs, or moving carpets or moving side tables or moving furniture so you have a more spacious environment to be able to get around to. Or I'm trying to remember what my patient called the other day. He called it monkeying it around or something, where he had an environment where he had something to hold on to as he was walking through his household. They sell a bunch of ADA accessories at the pharmacies, from grab rails and floor to ceiling poles that give people access and means to hold on to as they're walking through their household. I know, I can't remember if it's the American Legion or Lions, works with donations to get, walkers and assisted devices into the households, walkers, canes, big wheeled walkers with seats for people that get fatigued really easily. So all these resources are here and available for people, and we do have a donation basis through the fire department. It usually goes to our bingo fund that people, if they're in need and they reach out to the fire department, we're tend to be very helpful and try to assist with those needs. So generally, when I'm going to a household for a lift assist, it's going to be coming in the front door and seeing what's going on in the immediate. Usually people land softly. Hopefully they're landing softly, landing on their backside or fall onto their side and not hitting their heads or breaking their hips. But sometimes that is the unfortunate event that happens. When we walk in and we are assessing the patients and we're asking what's going on, we're going to ask you a bunch of different questions. Your name, we're going to ask you acuity questions, making sure that you know who you were, where you are, when you are, what's going on. We ask you who the president is, no matter what your opinion is on them. We like to have the actual answer, not who you want it to be or whether you agree with them or not. And these are just to make sure that people are cognizant enough to refuse the care. But we always walk in with the mindset of we're coming into a patient that should probably be transported to the hospital, and we need to rule that out. So we always want to get you to definitive care. That is our biggest and strongest point. And if you're falling repetitively, that is something that needs to be addressed. And whether that's addressed with physical therapy or getting assisted devices or getting help in the home, the first step is us walking through your front door. And if we feel and we're trying to really convince you to go to the hospital, it's generally because we see something that's either difficult to explain or that we can see becoming a bigger problem down the road. So a lot of individuals that are on blood thinners, usually for cardiac conditions and whatnot, if they fall and they strike their head, for us, that's an immediate, we need to go to the hospital and get checked out, because even a slow bleed in the brain can be devastating for someone that's on blood thinners. Yeah, so we do a lot, and we come see a lot of people in town. We get to know a lot of people. York is they're very lucky because the ambulance doesn't charge for lift assists or quick visits. The fire department doesn't at all. I mean, you guys pay for us and your taxes, and you don't need to be paying us to come out and see you again. We don't get paid if your house is burning. We don't get paid if we come and pick you up. It's just we come there. It's a free service to you. Well, a tax-based service for you. But if you're in other communities, they do have, like Wells, they have a strike system. So if we come out to see you 3 or more times in Wells, you will receive a bill from the ambulance service. That's usually around $100. It's nothing terribly outlandish, but for somebody that's on a fixed income, that could be something, to consider and think about. So preventing those calls, getting the resources and the things you need to prevent you from getting to that point of repetitive calling would be helpful. And we were more than happy to help with the resources and getting you the right information. Yeah, I'm not sure what else to I can ramble on for hours about different calls and such, but the devices, I actually didn't know about the Google Home devices and programs that they're doing. That's awesome, because I know the life alerts, however helpful they are quite expensive, and I didn't realize that until I had to buy them for my mother. She had a stroke a couple of years ago, and we wanted to make sure she had one while she was alone in the house, and now she doesn't have one because she no longer needs it. But it was expensive. I was surprised how expensive those devices are and to maintain. So I'm glad there is a more affordable option for lower acuity patients out there to have to help them on a day-to-day.
Well, thank you, Jack. I really appreciate all the information. Do you find, just real quick, that people often wait either to make the call, or when you get there, they've been there for a while on the floor? I just want to make the call.
So I don't tend to find people waiting too long, unless like we always have that stubborn group. We always have that stubborn group that don't want to call and don't want us in their house and don't want the assistance, but knowing and accepting the changes in your body and what's going on. And when we come out 3rd, 4th, and 5th time for a person that's falling repetitively, heeding our advice, we're not trying to to upsell you something. We're trying to get you the help that you need. So making sure that those individuals are actually seen at the hospital and figure out why they're falling. There could be an underlying issue that we can't see because we can't do the lab work, we can't do the tests, we don't have X-ray vision. You know, we wish we did, it'd be great. But you know, those patients actually going and being seen. And I know York Hospital in the past, they've had hospital pay that will, I know people are worried about the bills, but hospital pay, you know, in the past, they put them on payment plans, or they have the hospital pay insurance or something like that. If I'm speaking wrong on that, please stop me. But I know that they've had those programs in the past to try to alleviate the large burden of medical bills that can be really damaging to most patients.
So I'll just jump in real quick since you asked. So
Yeah.
York Hospital does have a financial assistance program. So if somebody has been to the hospital or, you know, any other, you know, facility, they can, once they get a bill, they can call up the help center and ask somebody to help them with that financial assistance, and they will help them with that. So there is something available for people.
I was just speaking with a patient the other day. I want to say it was yesterday, it was the day before. I'm working a lot right now, so I can't keep track of the days. But a couple of days ago, I was talking to a patient that went and he wound up with some extraordinary bills because he had, you know, long-term issues that needed to be taken care of. And he called and he was down to, I think he was like $25,000 in bills, but he was down to $25 a month, which is very much affordable for him to be able to move forward with himself and take care of what he needs to take care of. That's hugely beneficial.
That's incredible. Thank you, Jack and Kay. I appreciate that information. And of course, Jack, thank you for your service to the community, and not just this presentation, but coming when we call. We really appreciate it. And I would love to share the good word of what you guys do and the fact that we in York are so privileged to be able to make those calls and not necessarily have a strike system. And I think that's something we should be advocating and talking about more. We're really grateful. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
So to wrap up, I have Pat Fitzgerald from Southern Maine Agency on Aging joining us for just a minute to talk about an upcoming series that I just learned about that's timely with what we're talking about. Welcome, Pat.
Thank you. And we just posted this on the SMA website on the events page. So in September, as part of Fall Prevention Week, Fall Prevention Month, SMA is doing a series of 4 webinars, Monday afternoons, 2 to 3. First one on September 9th is from Awareness to Action, 6 Steps to Prevent Falls. On September 16th, Stepping Out Strong, Building Strength and Balance to Prevent Falls. That one is focused on osteoporosis and fractures. The third one on September 23rd, Tai Chi, Strengthening the Body and Focusing the Mind to Prevent Falls. And wrapping up on September 30th, Changing Thoughts and Behaviors, You Have the Power to Prevent a Fall. So we'd love to have you register. If you can't make it on the day of the webinar, our plan, if I can work out the technology, is to make the webinars available after the fact on YouTube. And yes, there will be handouts.
Thank you so much, Pat. That's the timeliness of this is incredible.
Yes.
When Mary said you guys are doing a fall prevention class, thank you for sharing. And I will get that information from you and put it into the email with these slides too.
Okay.
We'll connect afterwards.
Okay, great.
Thank you so much. So in closing, I also want to mention that YCSA does accept medical equipment. And so if you need anything, you're not able to get it somewhere else, please reach out to YCSA. I want to thank our speakers for presenting. Thank you, Michelle, Jean, Kay, Jack, and Pat and Mary. Thank you also for Fairtime YCSA for collaborating on these webinars. And as a reminder, we'll have a recording of this webinar presentation available on our website in our Housing Solutions Library. Our final housing webinar of the summer will be on Wednesday, September 18th from 12 to 1 p.m. It'll be talking about how zoning affects affordable housing, and those presenters will include Kittery and York town planners, Eric Jorgensen from Maine Housing to discuss the state's new housing portal. If you haven't checked it out, it's a really cool resource. And Ryan Hope will be there from Dover, and I think he may have logged on today. I'm excited to hear what Dover has been doing in regards to the innovative things they're doing with zoning in Dover to increase access to affordable housing. And as always, please reach out with any questions or to schedule a consultation on how you can create a rental unit or become a landlord in Southern Maine. And we really appreciate you taking the time to join us today to learn about aging in place. And I'll be sure to share all the resources that were shared with you today. Thank you so much. Take care.